Silent Hill F review here today. This is the PlayStation 5 version. I beat it earlier. I wanted to talk about it. As always with me, I started playing it before I left. I did the gameplay. I went up to the cabin thing. And I came back and I played it I guess, the past 5-6 days. It took me 10 and a half hours, it's like 10 hours, 39 minutes or something to complete. On my first playthrough, I played story mode, combat mode story, puzzle mode hard. This takes place in 1960s Japan. You're Hanako, or Hanako. You use her. I'm assuming, I guess you're in high school, I would think. You're in school, it's high school. Your friends are Shu, Rinko, and Sakako, I think her name is. She doesn't get as much play as the other two. And I think there's another friend in there too, maybe. And her sister's Junko. And you have her parents in there. And then there's the fox guy in the spirit realm or whatever it is. But it starts off in the beginning. You gotta go do something, I think, for your dad. You go into town and you see your friends. You're hanging out with your friends briefly, and all of a sudden stuff starts happening. Monsters appear and shit. So you start off running from the monsters at first. And you get through. And then the game kind of starts proper. You get some combat stuff, and then it's Shu and Ring. Well, you meet up with Shu. He's your partner. That's what they call each other. They've been friends, and they played this game Space Wars when they were kids. His name's in here, Hanako's dad is drunk. He's abusive. He's an asshole. And her mom, kind of just accepts it because that's how it was back then in Japan. You just accept your role and take whatever, shit comes with it or whatever. So you have a lot of that in there, those kind of themes in there. And the story's good. It gets pretty, it's brutal for your character in this game. She goes through the ringer. There's a lot of alluding towards things and these little pills you take. It's like a medicine, headaches, I believe, tension headaches. You take, and I knew that would play a part. Now the ending I got apparently is because I looked it up. I'm okay, did I get it for a certain reason? Because it ends abruptly, and all right, you knew the end was coming, and then all of a sudden it ends, and then I found out that's the ending everybody gets the first time. This is encouraging you to play through again to get different endings, and there's a thing that shows you what you need to do to get two of the endings. Then this UFO ending, which it doesn't tell you what to do, and another one it tells you somewhat to do. Other things you gotta figure out on your own. Because you get New Game Plus, you beat this, you carry over all your stuff. But you're making your way with your friends. First with Shu, you're making your way to different areas. First you want to go to Rinko's house. Then you want to get to the school. Then Shu's house. Then back to you. You're going from place to place in the town. The map's really nice in this game. Same kind of Silent Hill stuff. There's blockage. It exits off. You can't get indoors. It scribbles it out. Stuff like that. But the artwork and stuff on the map when you go to certain things is really cool. It has a Silent Hill feel. It has the gameplay of Silent Hill. You're going into the Dark Shrine. That's what it is. The Dark Shrine. When you kind of pass out type thing. That's where the fox guy is. And that's when it gets brutal for your character. I'm going to spoil a little here, so if you want to hear this, I'll just say it involves sawing off a body part yourself and then getting a wolf arm. Part of your face gets cut off. They get you get branded on the back bit. That's in the Dark Shrine, the spirit realm. I think must call it something specific. There are puzzles in here. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm trying to think where I should start. I'll start with the combat. There is a lot of combat in this compared to other Silent Hills, right? And the combat is good. I mentioned this on Instagram. When the combat is in close quarters, it was pissing me off, immensely pissing me off. Because when you're in, usually the close quarters, are in more of the dark shrine area. You get into kind of some tight spaces. And you're like, because you can dodge in this, you have a stamina meter, a sanity meter, and your health meter. And you can hold on the one trigger and do heavy attacks, kind of focus attacks, which takes away sanity. You dodge, it uses stamina, you're using your weapon, stamina's going and stuff. You can upgrade all this, I'll get into that in a minute. But when you have heavy attack, light attack, you get a bunch of different weapons: crowbars, sledgehammers, axes, sickles, knives, baseball bat, pipes. And some are more durable than others. Weapons will break, you get toolkits, you can fix them. Some are more durable than others, and they will break. You can find, those are your toolkits. You can find omamaris, which are like buffs, kind of, and you can upgrade up to 3 slots. You can have 3 of them at once when you upgrade. So one I had equipped, which was great, was high durability weapons hit harder, which was huge because I was using a crowbar, hard durability, and it was really, I was messing stuff up with it. Another ones give you, I had one that had more health. One helps with your stamina, I believe. One helps with a quicker dodge. You can dodge better, stuff like that. Like I said, you have heavy light attack, and you can dodge and stuff, and enemies will open you up, there'll be a counter. They'll flash real quickly. If you hit, I think it's R2, you'll get a really kind of devastating blow, mess them up. When the combat's outside or you're in the dark shrine, and it's more of an open area, it works well. The combat's pretty good. Not great, but it's pretty good. You gotta recognize patterns from the enemies as well. You gotta be patient. But if you're, and that was when I was getting pissed, when they throw a lot of enemies at you at once, because they'll start wailing on you, and sometimes they will interrupt some of your attacks, which is annoying. Some of them, they'll grab you and take attack that will really take damage on you. But for the most part, in the outdoor areas or any kind of bigger spaces, the combat works well. Even if there's a couple enemies coming at you. In tight quarters, you're dodging into walls. The camera angles sometimes kind of suck. You're getting wailed from behind by another enemy. Like I said, you dodge into a wall. Sometimes you go to hit and you miss, like badly miss. Like sometimes when you're aiming at the enemy, somehow it just won't count as a hit for some reason. You'll hit a wall in a tight space and stuff. It can get really frustrating. Like, it was pissing me. Like, I was out loud getting pissed because I was getting frustrated. Usually it's a sign of a game I like when I'm getting frustrated because, I tend to get more pissed at games I like because I want to like it more, but it's bothering me. But like I said, when the combat works, it works well. In tight spaces, it's annoying. There is also a lot of combat in this game. You can avoid some enemies, some you cannot. There's rooms later in the game in the Dark Shrine where if you go in the wrong room, you get trapped, you gotta beat the enemies. All the enemies look really nice. There's one disturbing one. It's a bunch of like breasts. It's like a woman on top. It's like birthing other pods that come out. And the thing screeches at you and does a screech attack, and the one below is like covering its ears. A lot of detail, big enemy. In the open world, or the outside world, you have to defeat them in places because there'll be a wall blocking where you have to need to go. So you have to force to fight those enemies. You have to just kill that enemy. There's other ones that are just kind of like, they kind of seem, they're kind of like the mannequins. They have knives. There's ones that's like a bunch of doll heads. I think I mentioned another. A bunch of doll heads sewn together on legs. And another one with like heads on legs. The bosses all look real nice. I'm not going to really describe them. I described the first one in another video. They all look really nice. There's not a ton of them. Oh, there's another hulking enemy. Huge, with all types of stuff on him. He like beats a drum. And the other enemies kind of attack tougher or whatever. Good enemy variety. They look really nice. Graphically, the game looks incredible. It looks really nice. There's spots where I just had to stop and look. Like, it's grimy and gross in the dark world, but it's not like some of the other Silent Hills where it's really dark and just sometimes you can't see. This is a little brighter even in the Dark Shrine, and I appreciate that. But it still gives you the sense of dread when you're there in the dark world. It's still just some imagery that's really kind of not, some of it's disturbing, but just eerie, kind of unsettling, right? That's Silent Hill does well in all the games, except some of them. But when you save, part of the comment, when you save your game, there's shrines that you save, and you save your game low. Shrines, you can offer up things, you can find items where you can carry more stuff. And when you can't carry something, you have to replace the thing. But if you're near a shrine, you can go to a shrine, you can offer up everything to a shrine for faith, except med kits, bandages, and the red capsule. You get these capsules that you are taking throughout the game. And then you can pray. You can make Omowaris in there. You can pray and then upgrade your health, stamina, sanity, and you can extend the bar. And you can get extra slots for your Omowaris. I think I might be saying it wrong. There's emails you have to find too throughout that you have to use it with your faith to get these upgrades. And every time you get an upgrade, it costs more faith the next time. Like I said, there's specific things that are just meant to be offered up. Antique combs, rat carcasses, I think, or bird carcasses, just some carcasses in general. And a couple other things, I can't remember what they're called. But a lot of the other stuff, health items, can also be used. And you get health items that will help you with your health, your sanity, and your stamina. I was offering up a lot of the sanity and stamina ones. I didn't care as much. I probably should have kept the stamina ones, because when you run out of stamina, you'll start getting wailed on. And it'd be nice to use something to get that up quick so you can get out of the way. Because you can't even attack when your stamina's down. You just sit there and you kind of have to take it and try to run. But you have 8 slots to put things, and you hold the one R1, L1, and you assign them to certain buttons, your health ops, and your toolkits and stuff. It does a good job, maybe because I had it on story mode for combat. You get a decent amount of items. I ended the game, I went into the final boss fight with 8 full first aid kits, 4 or 5 bandages. I forget what the other, Yukon. Another thing I had a bunch of. Like I said, some of the puzzles are annoying, and that's because part of it is with me with video games now. I'm getting so impatient. If I'm struggling with a puzzle, I get annoyed. I did look up something once in this, because there was a scarecrow puzzle that was irritating as hell, and you had to go through 4 sections of it. Some of the other puzzles are your basic puzzles in games. Move a block here, do this, put the certain weights here, wait and make it even and stuff like that. Most puzzles I did. A few I was getting annoyed with, but you get hints with the puzzle stuff. You're finding other journal entries throughout the game as well. They're giving you kind of side stories, which is cool. I did not find all of them for the things. But you can see what the other people are going through and stuff like that. I'm trying to think. I'm going to be missing stuff here, even though I just beat it. And the voice acting's great. I have it in Japanese. It has English stuff. Apparently the English voiceover is good too, but I did in Japanese. It's good. It's intense. There's jealousy in there, bitterness, hatred as well. There's a lot of themes in here. Going on between the friends, between Hanako and her sister and her parents, mostly her parents and her dad. And then her friends as well. You can explore a school. The Dark Shrine, like I said, has different areas when you go to it. You pass out, you go to it, and the fox mask guy is there, and you do that stuff. And then it's cool in the combat. In the Dark Shrine world, eventually you end up with a wolf arm because you take your own arm off, and now you don't have you had ceremonial weapons early on in the Dark Shrine. Now you have this wolf arm, and you can siphon the souls of the enemies when you take them out, and you push in the triggers like God of War and a ton of other games. You go into a rage mode where you're wailing on people and you fill up the meter by siphoning these souls and attacking enemies. And you get other little things in there. The wolf arm opens certain doors. There's another one where you have a vision. Walls disappear. Certain walls are marked. They disappear. Stuff like that. There was another one where it was just a symbol on a door. But New Game Plus, there's definitely areas where you can't get into because you get this last little pin thing the fox guy puts on you to signify you're his. And there's parts earlier in the game where you couldn't get into those doors because you would have needed that. I didn't know what I needed. So in New Game Plus, you're going to be able to access this stuff. Because, like I said, it encourages a second playthrough. It's almost telling you, like, this ending really isn't the ending you want. Play again. Which I don't really want to play again. Usually when I play survival horror games, I need a palate cleanser afterwards. A bright and more cheery type of game, or just a bright and more... Well, this game has beautiful colors compared to other Silent Hills. Like, it looks great. The enemies all look good. And then as it goes on, your town, when you're in the regular world, more of the plants and the weird shit's growing up everywhere. Where else do you... There's a couple other puzzles or things where you get an item, like a classic survival horror. You gotta put in a specific thing. Like I had to get the tube for the burner and then put a thing in there and it melts it and it gives you a key. You can find stuff in drawers, items. There's a lot of items all over the place. Puzzles overall, some were annoying, but overall they were fine. Like the scarecrow was irritating as shit, but that's early on in the game. I don't want to spoil too much on the story. Like, it's with her other self, and Ako's other... It's like Hanako, or how do you say it? And then there's Shimizuzi, her first name, and her last name. It's like two people. There's a cutscene with the both of you. Like, it's interesting stuff that plays into it, and what you're becoming. What becoming you could be becoming. You're nuts type shit, you know? But it plays in a lot of the themes of, like, what women had to deal with and stuff in this. I'm going by 60s Japan, how it was there. And really, the people develop it. It was in Japan, so they know this stuff. They would have family and stuff. They would know this stuff. I don't know. So you defer to them. But it plays on a lot of that, right? Like, Hanako wants to make her own choices for herself, but she feels like, people want to make them for her and shit like that. And she's kind of giving in to the fox guy in the dark shrine, saying, I'll do whatever you tell me, stuff like that. And this little doll, I guess your old doll you threw out, it's like telling you don't follow him, don't trust him, and stuff like that. Throughout. You can explore some stuff, like when you're in the open world, not the open world, but the outer world, you can find some things throughout places and stuff like that. And they're telling you what some things are and how they worked and shit like that, and what the significance of them is. It's cool, like I liked it. Outside of the some of the puzzles being a little irritating, and the combat being absolute. I mean, if anyone's played this, let me know if you dealt with the same shit in the close quarters. It was infuriating. And sometimes when you're healing with a bandage or a first aid kit, it takes a few seconds. And if they hit you while you're doing it, you don't waste it, but it doesn't count. I didn't die a ton. I died probably like 5 or 6 times. Just because sometimes you're getting wailed on and you don't realize your health is down to the bottom. The boss fights, I think I handled fine. And they were fun because they were in bigger areas. Like the one you're fighting, your one friend is like she's become like a demented priest. Half the face is melted off and they're floating. They got this thing, I forget what it's called. And then other school kids are coming up and shooting flames at you and shit. The boss fights are nice and they look amazing. Like really well designed enemies in this. There's a few parts where you gotta run from the fog monster. I won't spoil that, but you gotta avoid that. And there's something, like I said, you find, it's cool that they have the upgrade system. There's 2 different ways of fighting. You fight differently in the Dark Shrine than you do in the outside world. So like I said, you have the wolf arm at a point is just your means of attack. And it's like I said, you do heavy attacks. You can focus it when you're in the rage mode and really hold it and wail hard and stuff. And then you can stun an enemy and then wail on them some more. And like I said, they give up. If you're quick enough when they flash, you do a devastating blow. It's a nice counter, which I hit sometimes. Like I said, you have to learn patterns, and you got to be patient. And the enemies will have different attacks. Like some will scream and kind of shock you. A lot of them do like a lot of swings at once. That's what I said. You got to time things and really learn their patterns and stuff. But I really liked it. I really did like it. It's not, I didn't like it as much as the Silent Hill 2 remake. I would go an 8 out of 10 on this. If the combat overall was better, especially in the close quarters, I probably would have popped an 8.5. I don't think I would have gotten to 9. Like, graphically amazing, voice acting's great. The character models all look really nice, too. The buildings and stuff, when you see the things, it looks really nice. Like, you go up close to some of the stuff, things look nice. There's bicycles and fans and stuff like that scattered about. Like I said, I'm probably forgetting some stuff here. I always do, even if I beat the game 5 seconds ago. I said, the voice acting's all good. I'd like to do a New Game Plus at some point. I might put it in English just to see how that is. But I do like to play these games in Japanese when they're kind of, I feel like, meant to be. It's like the Yakuza games, kind of too. You kind of want to play them in the language they're kind of meant to be played in, at least to me. I think there are some combos you can hit with combo heavies and light attacks and stuff like that. But it will frustrate you. And the reason I go to 8-2, like, I wish it was kind of a little longer. 10.5 hours. Like, Silent Hill 2, I think, was like, they padded it. And it was, I don't know, I can't remember how long it took me to beat that, but I feel like it was 20 hours maybe. I could be wrong. I would like to have been a little longer. Now, I could have explored more early on, and I didn't. During that gameplay especially, I could have explored a little more. Like I said, I will do a New Game Plus at some point, but not now. I'll probably hop into either Indie to try to beat that, or I keep forgetting I have Oblivion Remaster, so I might jump back into that. Like I said, it looks really nice. Actually, that, if you can see that picture, that's the first boss fight. And it gets pretty brutal at points. Like I said, the part with her in the arm and the top part of the face, she goes through it. And I will say this too, partially with my score, I was leaning 8 regardless, or 8-5, but the ending, like I said, it's abrupt. You know it's coming. You're like, this is the end. It's like escape type thing. I feel like she went... to have that just be the first ending you get no matter what, I feel like your character's going through so much shit. You kind of want a little bit of... not like a downer type ending. It was a downer ending, You want it to be like a good ending for the sake of your character that you've watched go through hell and has been going through it, before the game even starts, when you go through the backstory and stuff. So that was a little bit of downer. Like I said, the combat, overall, it's fine. It's actually pretty good when it works well, when you're, especially in one-on-one fights in the open. But the thing is, you do a lot of close combat fighting in the Dark Shrine. And there's a lot of combat. I was getting pissed. At the end, I was getting pissed again. It was just like, run back to your house. And this is like before the final boss fight. Run back to your house. And there was a few parts where I had to fight the enemies. I was able to avoid a bunch, but there's a few I had to fight to free open a space to get through because it's blocked off. That was annoying me because I'm like, can I go a couple of minutes without a fight? There is a lot of combat in this game. Some is avoidable. A lot of it isn't. Now, if the combat was worse, it would really suck. But a lot of that 8 comes from that, and 8's still a great score, but it comes from there being, for me personally, too much combat, and it does not work at all in close quarters. It sucks. But when it's in the open, it works pretty damn well. That and some of the puzzles are just annoying, and I think part of that's on me too, because the way I've been feeling about games recently, I've talked about, it's like, I don't want to deal with this shit. When it's bothering me, like if I can't figure it out after like a half an hour, I'm like, I gotta cheat. And sometimes I just don't wanna. I'm just impatient. That's on me too. But some of the puzzles were a little... The Scarecrow one, there's one other one, what was it? They were a little like, huh? Like what? What? But most of them were fine. But that's where the 8 would come from. Some of the combat aspects, some of the puzzle aspects. And I would have liked it to have been a little longer. And the ending you kind of just get. That's the ending you get, apparently. That's what it said when I looked it up. Because I wanted to see, I'm like, well, why did I get that ending? That's just the one you get, apparently. Unless I'm wrong. But unless what I read was wrong. But anyway. I'm still going to go to a 10 on this. Highlights are, I do like the upgrade stuff too, and I like the different forms of combat in the Dark Shrine, as well as being in the regular world. I do like the differences in the combat, that's cool. Although once you get outside at the end, you're just using the wolf arm and stuff, you're in your, what you've kind of partially become. But it's cool, the story's cool, it's intense, it's sad, which a lot of Silent Hills are, a lot of spoiler. Some of the combat is good. I like the fact that you can upgrade all your stuff and shit like that. Like I said, I like the differences in the combat between worlds or whatever. Graphically amazing. The voice acting's good. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 on Silent Hill F. Check it out if you're into horror games. It's cool. And it still feels like a Silent Hill. Some people are like, why call it that? It has the Silent Hill. You know, oh, it's a dark world, light world type thing. Everything plays like a Silent Hill with the map. Oh, we can't get in the store, can't do that. It plays like a Silent Hill, but it adds elements to it. It's a good game. I didn't like it as much as Silent Hill 2 Remake. I also have it's my favorite game, the original, and it's like, that carried over, and the fact that it was so well done. It was great. But still, 8 out of 10. Check it out, Silent Hill F. Thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.